Hi, everyone. My name is Angie Peacock. I'm a psychiatric drug withdrawal consultant and a healing coach. I like to bring you really interesting conversations about people doing things in the deprescribing world. I love advocacy. I love making change where possible. So today I brought you Morgan from the Antidepressant Coalition for Education, also known as ACE. So Morgan has a personal experience and she is working to make change from that personal experience. So welcome to my podcast or whatever you want to call this, Morgan.
Thank you for having me, Angie.
So I'm going to read Morgan's bio really quick, just so you know her a little bit of her background. Morgan has a background in education, digital production, and activism. She was called to this work after enduring a traumatic withdrawal from an SSRI in 2022. Originally from the Tampa Bay area, she now lives in Idaho with her husband, her biggest supporter, Will, and their two children. She founded the Antidepressant Coalition for Education in response to the clear demand for an organization dedicated to awareness, education, and research around antidepressant adverse effects. She believes in informed consent, scientific integrity, and liberation for all. Thank you, Morgan.
Thanks,
Awesome. So
Angie.
let's just start. Okay, I think that's how I came to advocacy too, is I had this huge experience happen to me and I was like, I can't just like go get healed and then leave and not do anything. And I know it's a phase of recovery where people get really mad and they're like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I got to do something about this. And a lot of people have really big plans and usually they don't follow through. So, can you tell me a little bit about like what happened to kind of bring you to this issue?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you just said. I was injured by antidepressant withdrawal. I was on an SSRI for 9 years. And per my doctor's guidance, I tapered off over about a month. His guidance was actually 2 weeks, but I took a month because I thought I was being safe that way. Um, and all hell broke loose and my life fell apart. Um, And it took, what felt like eternity, but it was a few years until I had the capacity to actually do something about it. So I had seen Benzo Info Coalition's advocacy and thought, you know, that's amazing for those who are injured by benzos, but why isn't there something like this for antidepressants, especially with, SSRIs being the most commonly prescribed psychiatric medication? So yeah, that's pretty much it. When I got well enough, I thought, I'm gonna create this thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no experience in this kind of in nonprofit work. I have some experience in activism, but I learned quickly. I became, overnight a web developer. Learned how to navigate the IRS and applying for 501 statuses and yeah, so that's where we're at.
Amazing. So there's a nonprofit. It's called Antidepressant Coalition for Education. And I think your step one is petitioning the FDA. Can you explain what that is? And then we'll talk about the MedWatch reports.
Yeah, so I came up with the petition. Um, I looked at the BIC's petition, I looked at David Healy's PSSD petition and just kind of used those as templates. And anyone can submit a citizen petition. Most citizen petitions are denied. I think it's less than 13% are granted. So that kind of will segue into the reporting drive. But on the citizen petition, I asked for a boxed warning to warn prescribers and patients of severe protracted antidepressant withdrawal. And this petition is specifically for SSRIs and SNRIs, and that's a strategic focus. It's less likely to be granted if we say all antidepressants, but there's definitely, an intention to address other classes of antidepressants down the road. But for now, it's SSRIs and SNRIs, and it's kind of exclusively for SSRI and SNRI withdrawal. So we're asking for a boxed warning. And then there's a lot of different sections in the prescribing information for all medications. So we're asking for a lot of different sections to be changed to also reflect the true nature of your potential risk for severe protracted antidepressant withdrawal. And we're asking for tapering guidance and for there to be some kind of acknowledgement for withdrawal-induced akathisia, because there is such, that's really severe. I'm not sure what words I can use if this is going to be on.
It recognized in antipsychotics, but it's not recognized with benzos or antidepressants. So you're asking for that to be recognized. That's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a couple things that I heard there. One, the first question I have is, what does the petition ask of the FDA? Is it just, we want you to add this to the material? And then, so once you submit it, I read it this morning, the FDA has a certain amount of time to respond, and sometimes they can delay it. I think David Healy's petition's been delayed. They haven't answered it yet. So it's been like 5 years or something. Do you remember?
Yeah, something like that, years. So the FDA has 180 days by law to respond to a petition from the time it was submitted and received by the FDA. So they have to respond, but they don't have to grant it and they don't have to deny it. They can respond and say, we need more time to figure this out or make our decision, which is what they did with David Healy's petition. I'm not entirely sure like what else was involved with Healy's petition. But that's why we're in conjunction with the petition, where we've launched this reporting drive to make it where it's going to grab their attention in the way that BIC's reporting drive did. I think over a year, if BIC has it like on their website, they have, this huge spike in reports. And BIC's petition was actually denied, but they, I think, circled back around to it after the reporting drive. So we're doing it a little differently. We're doing them together, and hopefully we'll, catch them before they're able to deny it when they see the spike in reports.
So I want to talk about the FDA MedWatch reports next, but I want to share something because I was on that original team that helped get all those reports gathered. And so I want to share with the audience what that was like. All of us were extremely sick. We were all in bed. It was me, Christy Huff, Janice, I think Nicole, and somebody else, a couple people. We were literally going through the benzo groups, calling people on their phone and typing up their report for them and submitting. Okay. We would harass each other. Like, did you submit your report? Did you submit your report? Like, it was absolutely grassroots. It was like, we need to get as many, I think we did like 1,400. We were keeping track of how many we would do every day.
Wow.
So that's what happened. And then at that time, I had asked Bob Whitaker, is this going to work? And he was like, Angie, it doesn't matter if it works or not. You need to get these reports in because they will not disappear. They'll be in their file. So regardless if like the FDA doesn't take action on the benzo issue, they still have those reports filed that adds to the evidence base. So you have to do it. Okay.
Amazing.
So that's just an insight. So I hear people all the time, like, I'm too sick. I'm too scared. Like, please just submit a report if you can. And if you can't, like, ask one of us and we will try to help you get it in. Okay.
Right.
It's so quick. It's easy. It's to the point. You just put the drug name, you put what happened, you can even use a pseudonym. You don't even need to use your real name, and you just send it. The more details you can provide, the better, obviously. But if you are, it's not going to affect your prescription. It's not going to affect your doctor. Nobody knows you. There's a lot of these fears. So can you just talk about the MedWatch, what you're asking people in the community to do right now?
Yeah, so we're asking people to submit reports to the FDA's MedWatch program. Their MedWatch program is a pharmacovigilance, which is a fancy word for their, monitoring adverse effects. A program that monitors adverse effects is their pharmacovigilance program. And so I don't really know like the history of like when it was created, but it's been around for a very long time. And it's just it's this program they have where you could submit adverse effects to the FDA. So we're asking people to submit reports if they've been harmed by SSRI or SNRI withdrawal. I agree with you, Angie. I think any report is better than none. So if you don't feel like you have the capacity for a super detailed one, I know Yosef just did released a video walking people through it. And his is very it's detailed and it's great. If you can do that, that's great. That's kind of, the ideal, but we know we don't, we don't live in an ideal world and don't always have the capacity for that. So I think, if you were just to, I think you could get away with 5-10 minutes like of it without adding much detail. Just it doesn't take very long. And if you want to make it more detailed, you might spend more time on it, 20-30 minutes writing up your story. That's kind of the most important part, is this narrative of exactly what happened, what you're taking, dates, all of that. And so, yeah, if you don't have the capacity for it, whether that's, really we're kind of, when I say that, I have in mind, people that are really severely cognitively impaired or just very sick. We're more than happy. Our group, we have volunteers, we have a whole team of people. We're more than happy to help people submit their reports. We just need some details, right? So they're not like fraudulent reports. We aren't encouraging that.
It's got to be truthful to your story.
Exactly.
Don't just put stuff in there as junk, because they see that too. And that does not.
Exactly.
So yeah, the more details you can provide, the better. And then you're also asking professionals, people that work in this space, to give more detailed reports. Like for me, I'm going to submit one on behalf of all the clients that I work with, and from like a social worker perspective, from an advocate perspective,
Awesome.
a veteran perspective. So I'm going to add like a bunch of citations and stuff in there to support
Awesome.
what I'm presenting. So can you talk about that? If a professional is watching, like what could they do?
Yeah. Okay. So there's kind of, so there's two things with I guess this reporting drive, but the main focus is getting people to report their adverse effects to this, what is it called? Is it VARS or FARS?
Ours, yeah.
Yeah, FARS.
BA.
Okay. We're trying to get people to submit their reports to the FDA's MedWatch program, but there's also, and healthcare providers can do that, advocates can do that, coaches can do that if clients or patients don't have, aren't able to themselves. We also right now are encouraging people to submit comments. So every petition that enters the FDA's docket system becomes open to public comments. And so comments are also pretty salient. I don't know that I would they're as critical as the roots to the MedWatch program, but they're still important, and they can influence the FDA's decision as, on whether or not they grant it or deny it. And so we are especially encouraging, professionals in this space, coaches, clinicians, researchers, to submit comments, well-supported comments. And that's not to minimize personal impact stories. We absolutely, welcome those as well.
Yeah,
but as far as, I do think, and the FDA kind of says it on the website, that the well-supported comments are going to hold more weight when they're making their decision. So yeah, we would love for coaches, all the Mark Horowitz is, in this space. I know there's a lot of great researchers, so not meaning to say he's,
bust them out online.
yeah,
Right?
Anders Sorsen, Adele Framer, Joanna Moncrief.
Anybody who's working in the space, please submit. Okay,
yes.
So what dates for FDA MedWatch reports for normal people suffering, and what is the date for researchers and coaches and therapists and things like that?
Like what dates are the comments open until? So I think that I believe the comments are open for that 180 days. So the FDA received our petition May 10th, and I forget the exact date, but that puts us somewhere in early November. So there's some time for sure.
Perfect. And then FDA MedWatch report, if you're all are watching this, today is May 30th, 2025. So the deadline for FDA MedWatch reports never expires. You can file those at any time, at any point in your life. But we're asking that if you are watching this right now and you've had something happen with your antidepressant, please report that now as soon as you can. So in the chat, or I'm sorry, the notes to this video, we will put all the links in there, and you can even go to ACE's website and they will show you a step-by-step how to do that. You can follow them on social media, those things. So can you just share some of those places to find you so that people listening know where to find you?
Yeah. So Our website is antidepressantinfo.org. Our email is ace@antidepressantinfo.org. And I have all of the links for to do all of this. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter or X. And in our posts, we frequently post links to the FDA's MedWatch program, the comments. It's my belief that the FDA makes it intentionally pretty difficult to navigate the docket system. So if you just go and search our petition, it's a little convoluted to find like where you can leave a comment. But it's in our post. So I've like shared the link just where you can click it and it goes directly to where you can make a comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so comments are for professionals, coaches with supported documentation to support their comment. And then FDA MedWatch is for the average consumer, patient, survivor over
Yeah.
there. Got it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm very hopeful. I think this is a good time in history that we do some action on this issue for antidepressants. I'm just seeing lots of momentum happening. We kind of talked about that before we hit record. So I guess a question for you, are you excited? Like, what have you seen? What have you noticed in the last couple of years as far as
Yeah. I'm very excited, and there's others that I've talked to in this space that are also very excited, and they're probably more level-headed than me. So, I may not be the best like uh, reflection for like what I get excited easily, I think. But I'm very excited. I think, and we did talk about this, Angie, but there was a recent Wall Street Journal article that was, I thought, very fair and accurate to what withdrawal can look like for folks, negligently tapered or just tapered too fast, what that can look like. And that same reporter is very eager, I think, to do some work on or an article on antidepressants. And no matter where you ACEs, we're nonpartisan, and so my point of saying that is no matter where you land on whether or not you like the current administration, there is a lot of talk, and it's brought a lot of attention to severe, disabling protracted withdrawal with all psychiatric medications. And I think it's a really great opportunity to push hard for, the advocacy that, what you've done, Angie, and what I'm trying to do, and a whole team of people. It's not just me. There's others that are working very hard to, when you talked about
it
you and
takes a whole
others,
community to push it? Yeah, it's not
it
just
does. It
yeah.
does. And this is the time, Prozac debuted in 1987, and they're, the psychiatric leaders, the medical establishment, everyone that should be doing something, they have had decades to do it. And they have proven to us that they are not only not interested, they're willfully ignorant. And I don't think the change is going to come from them. The change is going to be bottom up. It has to be us. We have to band together and do it, and I don't mean that to be, I'm not entitled to anyone's time or, people, not trying to pressure people, but it is kind of important. This is our opportunity, right? It's going to be bottom up, and this is our opportunity to really make change. And I think it'll be a really big deal if the petition is granted. It'll make real world changes for people.
I agree with you. I think there's lots of this is why I like advocacy, because I just like watching things move the needle. And I can tell you, like, from a government perspective, in legislative areas, the needle doesn't move much. They kind of go a little over here and a little over here and a little over
Right.
here. And every administration changes, they'll go back and forth. The right gets what they want, the left gets what they want, things like that. Okay. It's very incremental, slow change because both sides have to agree to something. Otherwise, it doesn't pass, right? So if you think about media, if you think about TikTok, if you think about X, that's where our voices are being heard right
Yeah.
now. However, I think sometimes in our community, we have so much anger built up and so much passion that it can turn the other side off, like turn the system off. Like, oh, there's just a bunch of crazy people yelling about their antidepressants, but those work for lots of people. And in some
Right.
ways, that hurts us because then they just dig their heels in more, you know?
Right. Oh yeah.
I
Agreed.
think Yeah, I think things like comments, FDA watch reports are a useful tool of advocacy because you can only yell on social media so much. It doesn't do a lot.
Right.
Doesn't do a lot,
Right.
you know? And you got to look for these little opportunities, media, TikTok, your YouTube channel, and believe it or not, those things I've seen move the needle faster than trying to convince a psychiatrist or
100%.
hospital situation, you know? So I like that though, also that it's our responsibility. Like we all can pitch in. Think about if I think about my 16 support groups per month, if every single person filed those reports today, that would be like 120 reports.
Yeah. Yeah.
So please, if I have to beg you.
Please, we'll beg, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Okay, so on that note, Morgan, is there anything else that I left out? Anything that you want to share about what's happening in the advocacy world with antidepressants right now?
Not that I can, nothing specific. I just want, yeah, to reiterate, like, I think, I know there's a lot of people, I've seen comments where people have said, if I thought it was actually going to work, I would. That's really disappointing to see on my end, because I'm pretty confident that this has a, it's very likely this will be successful if we band together. And so, if you're feeling, which I know we do in withdrawal especially when we're in the thick of it, we feel very hopeless, and helpless, and there's not much we can do. And I think, Angie, that's kind of, you know, when you talk about people being angry on social media, I think that's kind of the space they're in is, they can't do anything. And this is like their only, outlet to vent. And so I'm here to tell you, like, that's just not true. Changes can be made. We've seen it happen.
That's what I was going to
I
say.
didn't
We have
come up
proof
with
of it.
this.
We have proof of
Right.
it
Right.
twice.
This is modeled. Right.
We have the benzo and we have the SAMHSA guidance that's recent with benzo deprescribing. That took
Right.
comment. We did a public
Right.
drive. I think I helped submit like 75 reports just through our Zooms and stuff.
Yeah.
That is what changed it.
Right.
Absolutely was your comments and your lived experience. That's what changed it. We have proof of it
Right.
twice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is modeled after something that has been successful. So it's like, it is just like activism throughout the history of activism, right? Is like you see something that works and you give it another try and maybe tweak things to make it a little better even. And not that I think Vic did anything that wasn't spectacular, but we learn, from the groundwork, or the people that have laid the groundwork, which is BIC and other advocacy groups. And so I'm very hopeful. Don't think that your voice doesn't matter. It absolutely does. And I think when you're healed, which will happen, you'll reflect back and really, be, I think, grateful that you did participate in something that maybe changed history, right? Changed the course of a very broken system that continues to hurt people. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Morgan. Okay, my last question for everyone is always the same, and so I'm going to ask it for you too. That is there any hope that you can leave with the audience? Because I can already hear my audience because I know them so well. They're like, okay, well, she talked lots about antidepressant and how bad withdrawal is, but do people heal from that? I can hear them thinking that, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to share
Yeah.
any?
So I didn't really get into my story too much, but you know, I do think withdrawal is a spectrum, and you have some mild withdrawal and moderate withdrawal and severe withdrawal. And then I think even severe withdrawal is a spectrum, and I would consider myself to have experienced a severe withdrawal. I was akathisic. I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for very violent, intrusive thoughts of hurting people I love, that, family members and myself. It was terrible. It was awful. I didn't sleep. I spent about a year and a half holding my thumb because it's like a Chinese medicine trick, and it was out of Bailey's Recovery and Renewal book. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I've heard this, said so many times, but it's true. There's many times I just thought I was going to be the one that didn't heal. Or, I would reach this like plateau. I kind of reached a turning point around a year and a half, 2 years. And I was polydrugged. So I was on I'm actually still tapering one medication. But you heal. I did an 8-month road trip with my family in our motorhome around the country. I just got back from that a couple months ago. Like my life is good. It is full of adventure and joy. And I can feel I had I had really bad anhedonia for a while. I have a pretty full range of emotions. It happens. I promise you. If you think you aren't going to heal, you're wrong. Recovery happens for even the worst cases. So hang in there and don't lose hope.
And the best part you said about right there was I have a lot of people that they're tapering and they're on multiple medications because of things like this. And
Mhm.
they're like, there's no way I'm going to get stable. I can't possibly heal while I'm on my meds. And you're saying, yes, you do. It wasn't
You do,
anesthesia hell the whole time. You balanced out at some point, the further you
right?
got away from your crash, and you felt better. And I see that over and over and over again. So,
Yeah,
and while you
yeah,
guys don't believe it, you're like, there's no way. This is not possible. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep,
That's
of
awesome.
course.
All right. Well, everybody watching, thank you so much for watching. If you can, hit subscribe or comment below. When you file your report, come back and tell us. Like, I'm going to put the link down there right now.
Please.
Go click the link and then come back to the video and say, I filed. Who else is next? Go tell one of your healing buddies. Do it together. You could do it on Zoom together. We could have a party, like an FDA MedWatch party if we need
I
to.
would love
Like,
that.
let's do it. Okay. So thank
I'll
you so much.
facilitate.
Let's
Yeah,
do it. All right, Morgan's gonna host a pizza party after the med watch. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but we need to each do it. Okay, so
we
thank you
will.
so much. And thank you guys for watching.